So much paperwork.
Mitch, is Lenny not coming again?
Lenny probably won't be here. He's awful busy up there. I mean, he's swamped busy.
Well, I saw the bill for the Bonnie paper towels, so he's probably
You see?
trying to stack those away.
I think you gotta call him on that, Mayor.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Okay, this meeting in the Board of Public Works is called to order. We have both commissioners. We do have a quorum. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Motion.
Motion
Second.
by Joe, second by Jared. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All ayes. I'll also accept a motion to approve the reports of the various departments.
Oh, motion to approve.
Motion by Joe,
Second.
second by Jared. Any questions on any of those reports?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes. We have no resolutions, but we do have claims.
Resolved that claims the amount of $1,551,302.52 be approved and paid as audited.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe,
Second.
second by Jared. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Very good. Okay, we'll start with Rich. I know we have a lot to cover in the wastewater plant today, so see you have an update on the belt press and how that project worked out.
Yes, Your Honor. Just wanted to talk to you about two things today. And the belt press project finished up on the 14th this year. They took the last loads to the landfill. And so we had a total cost of $26,616 in tipping fees. We have an estimate of $8,250 for polymer use on the belt press and a $35,000 rental for the machine for the 30-day rental. We processed 870,000 gallons of sludge from that time, from December 15th to January 10th. And with a cost of $70,000, that works out to about 8 cents per gallon. Project was, kind of a strain for us, and we got a lot of help from Andy Doran and Tyler Cornish, Rob Guy, and Mitch Cornish. We couldn't have done it without them. We did it through some fairly frigid temperatures where we had to get in there early and thaw out the equipment and stay late at night and get the thing done. So the project got done. We hope to do 660,000 gallons of sludge in order to get us through until our new permit comes in next spring or summer sometime. And we were able to do the 870,000 gallons. So we should be in good shape for storage space until we get that permit. Not included in this estimate was the fuel use, $1,069 for diesel, and my labor costs are coming. I haven't got those included in this yet.
I'm sure there's plenty of overtime in that.
There was a lot of overtime. Those boys would get up and be at work at 5 o'clock in the morning in order to get their first load to the landfill when they open up at 7 o'clock. And we worked a lot of the weekends in there. We skipped the weekend of the New Year.
New Year and Christmas, right?
And we ran out of polymer at that time, so it was kind of convenient, and it was kind of a stressful job. So the guys could really needed a day off there. It was a pretty good success. Second thing I wanted to talk about was this ongoing problem with Crowley Dairies. We did a little bit of legwork this last couple of weeks, sent out a sample of our mixed liquor to a microbiologist in Pennsylvania, and he identified the problem as a filamentous bacteria. I've got a report here for anybody that'd like to take a look at it. It's a problem that happens in dairy waste because there's a high concentration of fats in their waste. They make cottage cheese, they use milk products, and this is a perfect kind of food for filamentous bacteria. And Crowley's admits that they had a problem with a caustic cleaner in their plant that raised the pH going into their treatment facility. And when you have changes to the bio mass in changing pH, just a few tenths of a unit can affect how they work in your. And so they created kind of a toxic situation where the bugs got sick, the filaments moved in. And if you look on the final pages of that report, you'll see copies of the slides, and the filaments appear, of course, as long hairs in the thing. And that's what interrupts the settling process in my treatment plant and at Crowley's, that these filaments or hairs insert themselves between the food and the bacteria and keep them physically apart. So the settling process doesn't occur as it normally would without these filaments.
That's interesting.
The solution to the problem is to treat the filaments as they are in your system. To reduce them, you treat them with chlorine. Just give them a shower every day, and that kills them, creates a further toxic situation. And then when you start over, you add a specialized bacteria like we do every day that combats the filaments. And when they compete together, this bacterium will win and keep the filaments not, it won't remove them, but it will make them less prevalent in the system. We took copies of this report and sent it up to the people at Crowley's and asked for a reply, and they're taking a look at it and considering, because we've got a supplier, Maryland Biochemical, that helps us with our bacteria needs. We need a specialized bacteria to help us lengthen the nitrifying season, because we're in a cold weather climate. We have a hard time getting the bacteria to convert ammonia to nitrogen and then to nitrate and nitrite. So when we have temperatures in the aeration basin that are around 12 degrees, it helps in May and June to add this bacteria. It's required by the DEC with our Speedies permit, and we've had great success with it. Second product fights the Nocardia filamentous problem that I've been talking about. We add that every day, 2 pounds. It's a maintenance dosage. And that's what we're going to recommend to Crowley's to get them out of this situation where they're sending us this cloudy effluent every day. And it's very costly to them. So far this year, Crowley's has been fined $31,000 in overages to our plant. We have an agreement that looks at the total waste that the city treats on a given day. And on any given day, Crowley's might be 15 or 20% of that loading. When they exceed that loading, we go up there every day and we test them for solids and organics and pH and flow. And we talk every day. And when their loadings exceed the amount specified that's dedicated to them every day that we set aside for them, then that impacts the rest of the plant and impacts our ability to treat other people's sewage, the taxpayers. So they pay a fine for that. And to date, it's been $31,000 this year. And that's a significant amount of money.
Their lab quality control should have picked that up. They should have been doing what you were doing. They would have saved themselves a lot of money.
It's not a secret that this problem exists in dairies.
I know.
In their waste.
That's it.
They know that. We know that.
Yeah, where are their internal controls? It's almost like they're asleep at the switch.
I mean, they should be. I worked there back in the 70s in the labs, and if something came up like that, you would take a sample and send it off. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't know. It's happened to me several times since I've been the chief operator that they'll bring in a new management team, right?
Well, there you go.
And these people will be gung ho to set new records for production. we're gonna make more cottage cheese, we're gonna make more hell of a good dip than the last guys did, right? So they go hell bent for election. And the impact comes down a month later with the waste that they create from this race. And the amount of organics that are visited on their bacteria overwhelms them. It takes away the oxygen in the system that is required to keep these bugs happy.
Hmm.
Well, in this case, they knew that they had switched caustics, cleaners. They had to be impeccably clean with these stainless steel vats that they produce the food in. It's amazing. If you've ever seen the facility, you'll
Mhm.
know what I'm talking about. But they do a great job most of the time. Now they've fallen down and, you know, they've had so many problems trying to figure out this problem that I've been trying to bend over backwards to give them information
Mhm.
that would be useful to them. And we'll see how they react now, right?
Mhm.
Will they take the advice that's contained in this report
Mhm.
and remember that, oh yeah, filaments are a chronic problem that we need to look to every day.
Exactly. It's just common knowledge for that industry. That's why I'm surprised that
Yeah.
it took you to do that. But human behavior is a funny thing because I often had to, their ice cream mixes, I would go around, take samples, make sure they're doing the ingredients properly. And to save on time, rather, you have to get a couple of 100 pounds of dry ingredients up on these, climb up on a ladder into these vats. So instead of doing that, I catch them taking a garden hose and adding water in there to help get the right particulate matter. And what are you doing? You can't put water in there from a garden hose. Rather than bring up the solids to bring up the chemistry that you need, they would just shortcuts. So it doesn't surprise me, but that's a
So those
expensive,
fines that we issued,
expensive error.
Mitch, are you aware of how many of those fines have been paid?
No, that all happens downstairs.
Mitch,
Yeah, they're all paid up.
They are?
They haven't complained
It's
yet
crazy.
about the volume of the fines that they've paid yet.
There's such a small margin of profit in food in that kind
Yes.
of process. You would think they'd be up on it.
So their total bill for this year is going to be upwards of $150,000 for us treating their waste.
Jeez.
You would think that would impact their bottom line.
Wow.
Or what's the attitude been when you had these talks with them? Are they,
They're all very reasonable and they're very professional people up there, but I'm a little bit frustrated with the response.
so in other words, they're telling you what you want to hear, but they're not acting on it?
When I talk to them about my expertise and what I can add to the situation, my opinion isn't welcome. When I talk to them about what their plans are to solve the problem, they are talking about putting in a pH adjustment system that will make their pH of their waste going into their treatment plant 7.0 all the time. And they're talking to me about the cycle, the production cycle. They say that Monday through Friday, they run a production. On Saturday and Sunday, they'll have very low production where they'll clean everything. And we'll see it. We go up there every day and record the flow. Typical flows are 200,000 gallons a day. That's a significant portion of the city of Hornell's 2 million gallons that we treat every day. They can physically impact the quality of our effluent product. And, you know, Abigail Johnson from the DEC came down to look at the belt press project and see how we were doing during that. When we walked by the final tank, she said, "What is that scum in the middle of your final tank there?" It's an orange tan foam that looks exactly like the foam that is prevalent at Crowley's. And it's a product of this filamentous bulking.
Wow.
And so I explained to her and she said, "Well, you know, what have you done about it?" I've told her, and, you know, we've gone even further than just telling her. Maybe I'll save that for another meeting.
Sure.
Some other things that we've done. But we hope to get a response from Donald Rudder on this report that we sent to him. He received it on the 13th, and he said he would get back to me. So the Maryland Biochemical is a supplier that they've used in the past. It's something that they just, it seems like they've forgotten that they have a problem in this area and they need to spend some money on O&M to clean this up.
Yeah, 'cause it's gonna be far less than 150,000.
It's not a normal year for us though, is it? 150 grand.
It's 120, you know,
Well, what do
every
we-
year.
You know, let's jump forward and, you know, if they don't correct the problem, it's going to keep reoccurring.
Yeah, and this is something that happened in the past where they have the physical ability to send a substance to our treatment plant that completely overwhelms the oxygen uptake potential of our bacteria. We have a 1,000,000-gallon reactor. We're supplying it with food, we're supplying it with oxygen, and the bacteria grow and multiply in that space to that size. They consume, they occupy that entire zone to 1,000,000 gallons. And then we just maintain it. We sit on top of it, try to keep the pH at 7, try to keep the oxygen level at 2 parts per million, and not change anything. It's a perfect job for me. Don't do anything, Rich. Just keep the bugs happy, right?
Mhm.
Well, we've been doing it for a long time, and we're still doing it now. And part of the reason that we're able to maintain our system in light of this waste that is problematic is that we put in the diffused air system a couple of years ago. We used to have these 4 25 horsepower motors that stirred the surface of the material. Now on the bottom of the tank, we have millions of tiny bubbles circulating throughout the mass, mixing it up. And the oxygen transfer is, 10 times greater than the old system.
Mhm.
So that our bugs can
Fine bubble aeration.
find bubble aeration.
They're very happy. The bugs are very happy.
The bugs are very happy, and we're happy that the fine bubble diffused air is a lot less expensive as far as our utilities go than the old system. But the main thing, if you're a sewage treatment operator, you're looking at, my gosh, even though they keep throwing this thing at us, they've been complaining that they haven't been able to get a handle on their pH problem since July. And they're throwing this problem at us every day, and we're asking them to clean it up. And in the meantime, the system is still working pretty well. Can't go on like this indefinitely. It is evident in our effluent, in our final tanks. The final tanks then go to a sand filter for polishing. They take out the last little bit of waste that floats like this filamentous bacteria. And they're handling the load so far. It's not a problem, but it is a nuisance.
So the person you're in communication with up there, is that person like the head of the lab quality control is that you're speaking with?
They have a sewage treatment plant operator up there. We talk to him on a daily basis. So we try to just do that every day.
You would think that person would have the qualifications to know this is happening. Sometimes because I worked up there, there would be one person with knowledge and qualifications. The rest would be just, I don't know how to put it, just common labor that had been trained to do this specific job. And they don't have an understanding of the science behind it.
The next step
That's why
up the
I'm
rung is
asking, do they have someone up there that understands the science behind it?
yeah, the next step up the rung is the maintenance supervisor,
Mhm.
Harley May. And we began communicating with him back in the autumn when we noticed that we were filling up our sludge holding tanks, right? So we've got a problem here and you're adding to it on a significant basis. This problem is making us take sludge out of our digester at a more rapid rate. Won't you please see what you can do about this to straighten out your pH problem? And so after that, we go to Donald Rudder, the general manager of the production facility. We say, look, this is a problem. We've been talking about this for a few months now. And we're not seeing results.
Yeah.
Things are getting materially worse. And so this report went to Donald Rudder. There's nobody else at this facility that we could talk to.
Sure.
But we have been keeping the DEC apprised of the situation.
Yeah, they don't want them on their back, so they get involved.
Well, they're private up there. I mean, the DEC is a regulatory agency on us. They're actually a private enterprise up there, and I don't think the DEC has much to say about it
Oh,
personally.
The DEC expects us to control all of
I
the
see.
industries in town.
oh, okay.
We're like the regulator for any industry in town. Stern and Stern has a permit, Crowley's has a permit, the hospital has a permit, and Alston has a permit.
Oh,
And
interesting.
we have to go out and perform testing on these facilities twice a year.
Mhm.
We have to make them do testing on their own facilities, and we submit reports to the DEC. And right now, we're going to do a industrial chemical survey. We're going to send out a survey the 28th of this month to all of those 5 facilities and ask them to look at their storage shelves. What do you have on their storage shelf that goes into production and then into the sewer? And then down to the sewage treatment plant. How can that affect the bugs in our plant? We have to do this once every 3 years. It's just
Wow.
part of the program.
So you answer more to the DEC than the EPA.
Yeah, it's like our responsibility to control these industrial facilities.
That's
And I'll tell you
interesting.
something, they don't like it.
No, I'm sure they don't.
And the EPA, the DEC talks to the EPA. They don't come down to our level.
Right,
They go to the DEC and the DEC comes to our permit.
that makes, yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I don't think the EPA has ever been at our plant.
It's been 7-8 years since they've come and done an inspection.
We've actually had Crowley's in this conference room before. 2 years ago? 3 years
Yeah,
ago?
yeah.
Remember, we had to sit down with them at least 3 years ago, and they were going to do some capital work up there to remedy this problem. So that's something if we don't get an answer from them fairly soon, we'll probably have to have another conversation with them here. I mean, we actually forgave some fines that time, just trying to help them along with their capital work. And I don't know if they've ever completed that or not.
Similar situation, they just had a change in management and people stopped going to their treatment plant on Saturday and Sunday. They have an operator, he's dedicated to the facility,
Yeah.
and he also has production responsibilities,
Oh,
right?
Oh, there you go.
So there you go. He has to split his time between the ditch and the production facility.
That's the
So he goes
problem.
down there and does his best. And then he needs a day off every
That
Saturday or
explains
Sunday,
it
right?
right there.
And nobody goes down and looks at the facility on Saturday or Sunday. Well, it's a biological thing. It's a living thing. And to try to impress upon the people at Crowley's that their treatment facility is a biological living organism is difficult sometimes.
You
They
have
want
people
to
at the
talk-
plant every day.
Yeah,
You don't just, Friday at 3:00, everyone just goes home for the weekend.
do you
Can't do
have,
it.
who has the power, or do you, somewhere down along the line of the DEC and you, where it comes to, look, you're really ruining our plant here, we can't take your effluent anymore. I mean,
Right.
Do you have that power?
Ultimately, yeah, that's in the city's code. And you can just say, this is not working. You have, there's a whole series of steps, notices of violation that say they don't produce test results one day. You say, what happened? They give you a reasonable response and you go, okay, forgiven, right? Or you have fines in place.
Right,
And they say, look, instead of you fining us, we want to take this $40,000 and spend it on a pH adjustment system for our plant. And we're going to turn this holding tank that we used in production before for a dosing tank. We'll put all of the waste for the day in this tank and we'll slowly feed it into the waste treatment system, providing less shock to the bacteria. We'll spread it out over the course of 24 hours. And all these things are agreed to.
sure.
Like, that's what Mitch was talking about.
Mhm.
Instead of fining them, they said, we'll spend this same amount on improving our facility at the treatment plant. And they did. And so things get lax sometimes and changes in management will bring different pressures to the
Yeah.
workers, and sometimes they neglect their duties at the wastewater treatment plant. I don't think that's the case this time. I think that they have a pH problem with this caustic that they use that is toxic to the bacteria, and the people that are trying to prescribe a solution to Crowley's are the chemical suppliers that sold them the product that is
There we go.
caustic in the first place.
Yeah.
Here, buy this machine, we'll put some acid barrels out there and we'll balance the caustic and the acid to get to 7.0, and the bugs will be happy again. But I just picked that up from talking to the general manager. We haven't seen a plan of action from.
That makes the
from them.
most sense right there.
If the people that cause the problem are prescribing the answer and they're chemical salesmen, I think the answer is going to be more chemicals.
Yeah, there's a conflict there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
My prescription, because I use bacteria, is more bacteria.
Well, you have a good handle on it for sure.
So where did you leave it with them, the last conversation you had?
Donald Rudder's going to get back to me when he reads this report. There's no follow-up right now, except that.
Because the fines that we've issued so far, don't come close to covering the cost of the remedy.
Yeah, that's true. And, I've been trying to impress on them the cost to us, and that they're going to have to share in the cost of solving the sludge pressing problem. And
Now, I haven't read the agreement that we have between Crowley's and the city. What, I would imagine there's some sort of contract or dollar amount that we contract with them.
it's based on that sample that we take every day, and we chart that every day. And after 30 days, we write a report, and every 3 months, we send them a bill based on 3 monthly reports, quarterly bill. And it's just the ratio of the city of Hornell's 2 million gallons a day
Right.
next to their flow of 200,000 gallons a day. And you would think the bill would be 10% based on that ratio. But it's based on a couple other factors where their organics are much higher than ours. So the BOD portion of the bill pushes their bill higher. So going forward, it's like Mitch and I have discussed a couple of times, it might, I think that the article that was spawned from an earlier Board of Public Works meeting in the paper, I think Mr. Rudder commented on, he'd seen that article, and maybe he had felt some pressure from that. Maybe we'll have a newspaper article coming out of this meeting from the Tribune.
We'll have to generate that news ourselves. So,
So that's what I'm trying to do today, is just let you know what's going on. We're working on it. We think we've got a solution, and I'll keep you posted.
If we don't hear back from them
Thanks,
in a
Rich.
month, we'll get with them and we'll have a sit down with them. I mean, that's, give them some time to regurgitate what Rich sent them and see where they're at. It's an ongoing battle every year, every other year. It's an ongoing battle with them.
Yeah,
is this in the past when you had issues with Crowley's, has it risen to this level?
Oh, sure. It's a continuing relationship that, you get new people into management, and you have to form a new relationship with them. And so,
I don't recall ever having to bring, belt press in and, do all that before.
it's hard to blame Crowley's for the sludge generation problem. I really don't have a handle on why we're generating so much sludge anymore. I've looked around at the phosphorus problem that we're coagulating with the Allen, and I think that's probably a more likely source of our increased sludge generation than Crowley's.
And that can be attributed to the Chesapeake Bay watershed regs.
That's right. But to say that I have scientific, factual evidence that that is the case is not really, I can't prove that, not there. And it certainly was the case last autumn that at a time when we were trying to figure out how we were going to get through this winter with the sludge storage space that we had, when just a year ago, we land applied 575 tons of sludge to our lands. It's like you filled up that 2 million gallons worth of storage space in a year and a half.
Mhm.
It just doesn't make sense, And that's what the case is. We took this sludge and put it through our presses, and it was consistently 5%. It's not a bunch of water hanging out disguised as sludge. It's actual solids that came into the facility and wound up through our process, filling up the sludge tanks. So it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on.
Sure. And right now, we're in the process of upping our permit so we can put 500 ton a year in.
500 ton.
Right.
That's going to help.
Yeah, that'll help us.
Yes.
So, because right now our permit says 120 tons
150.
or 150.
Yep.
And now we're tripling that at about to 500. So
And the farmers have the capacity to take it and the willingness.
Yes.
I believe we have the acreage.
We have never exceeded the permit levels on a gallon per acre basis. And Dan Knoll's point has always been, why do we need a total tonnage limit? And the DEC says, because that's the way we do things. So even though we never exceeded the 16,000 gallons per acre, we have so much land that we can land apply that we were able to exceed the 150 tons. Up to
Dan
500%.
Knoll is our wastewater engineer from Wells.
Interesting.
He's modifying our permit right now. And that was a discussion with the DEC early on, is to let us land apply more, and they wouldn't do it. They wanted to go through a permit modification cycle with them. A new engineer at DEC, he wanted to do this, and it's a lengthy process. You have to go through seeker, and you have to do a whole bunch of things to modify the permit.
Mhm.
But the good thing is we still have our permit for this spring, and we'll probably put 120 gallons or 20 ton in the farmer field this spring, hopefully.
We have to ask Mike Miles if we can do that.
Yeah,
I think we can, but
hopefully.
we'll have Dan Knoll ask him that when it gets a little bit warmer.
Mhm.
And it's weather dependent too. It can't be rainy and wet when we're doing the
Yeah.
land applies. It's got to be just right.
They
We haven't had a
haven't,
lot of years that way, have we?
We had a fall 2 years ago. We had a very wet fall.
We probably didn't land apply then, or we did a very
Yeah,
minimal.
everything was saturated and you had standing water.
And as Rich is saying, the aluminum sulfate that we add to our treatment process down there, that's taking a lot more solids out of the stream and putting it down back into our settling ponds, our holding tanks down back. And that's Chesapeake Bay. We knew that was going to happen in the beginning when we started doing that. The dollar amount that's added to the bills, that just pays for the chemical that he's using. It doesn't pay for anything else. That was just the chemical amount every year of buying the element to add to the tanks. And it's just,
Mayor, do we have time for one more item?
Absolutely.
The email I sent you yesterday, I'm sorry to go on and on, but there is a grant for $30,000 from the EFC to improve something in your facility. And this grant would be a good thing for us to use to beef up our industrial monitoring program. This would be a headworks loading exam of the plant. On any given day, you set up a sampler and you test the city of Hornell's waste going into the plant. At the same time, you put a sampler at each of your 5 industries and see what they produce on that day.
Mm.
And from this, you construct a flow chart and you say, Crowley's is responsible for this much, St. James, et cetera. And from this, you say, okay, we have this sewage treatment plant and it has this capacity of 4 million gallons. We're going to take 1/3 of that and give it to the industries. And for that privilege, we're going to charge them 1/3 of our operating costs.
Hmm.
They can then go ahead and plan and send sewage to us at that given rate. And we would give them a contract, just like we have for Crowley's, that says, you can give us, Crowley's, 330,000 gallons a day. If you send us 1 gallon down more per day, it's $1 for every gallon. And there's a schedule for BOD pounds, TSS pounds. The limit for BOD is 1,000 pounds per day. If you send us 1,001, it's another $1. TSS, it's 700 pounds per day. Another pound, 90 cents. And that's how we operate.
Mhm.
And we don't have those permits for the individual industries. And it's a monitoring requirement that we have to bear. We have to go out and inspect their facilities. We have to go out and test their facilities, but we're not collecting anything for this. They get a water bill, they get a second water bill that bills them for sewage treatment services, but it's nowhere near what it costs to monitor these industries, send out samples to laboratories. You see the bills for the lab fees. They're $2,000, $2,500 a month. We're spending a lot of money.
Lavella said they put that grant in too for us, when they.
LaBelle's will do it, but it requires that the council pass a resolution that allows LaBelle's to apply for it. And it has to be done by February 12th.
So the grant application date is before the next scheduled council meeting, so we have to have a special council meeting. So the $30,000 grant, you said there's a matching that costs the city 6,000. Now, is it 6,000 in addition to 30, or is it the 30 really 24 plus our 6?
It would be 24 plus 6.
Okay.
And not only that, most of the 6 would be paid for through our labors. Any work that we did on the project, testing, setting up samplers, visiting the facilities, all of that would be paid through a force account.
Force accounting tied.
So most of our portion will be provided in services
I think you could do the whole 6,000 in your service.
easily. It's very labor intensive, right? So you had a list of questions, and I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to answer them all, but $30,000 would cover the cost of the headworks loading. $6,000 can be provided by the city. And then with this work done, you would have produce permits for all 5 industries, and they would know their responsibilities as far as testing on a monthly basis. Crowley's tests every day. Does
So who are the ones you want to target?
it would be Alston for 2 facilities, St. James, Starn and Starn, Crowley's.
Those are the 5 industries that you have on your permit right now.
That's right. And they're required, for instance, Crowley's is required to be in the program because they have a dairy facility producing food. And they produce so many gallons a day that they qualify a second time. Starn and Starn is a textile manufacturer. They're a categorical industry that just deals with some funky chemicals that need to be included in this program. Alstom, same way. They have special metal finishing processes. And the hospital also has very special needs as far as the waste that they produce. We look at them, we monitor them, we'll produce a report on an annual basis for what they contribute to the plant. But this would give us, with a couple of samples, a headworks loading that will give us a snapshot in time of what each of these industries contributes to the sewer. And from that, we can produce a bill, much like Crowley's, is based on their needs, based on their input to the system. And hopefully it wouldn't be too painful for them to contribute something to the operation and maintenance of the system.
Well, none of them will be happy about it.
No, no, but to say that the citizens of the city of Hornell should pay for the sewage treatment needs of a facility like St. James Hospital it's not legal. You know?
Which isn't even in the city anymore.
Yep.
Yeah,
Have you projected what those costs to those entities would be?
No, that's what the head roof floating would do. We would try to get a handle through the Chamberlain's office from water bills of what their contribution is hydraulically. And then with the samples that we take at their facilities, we can assess their organics. And together we can produce a real world figure for the impact to the plant. Charge them. So if Crowley's flows 200,000 gallons a day, or so let's say 175,000 on an average, and they wind up paying $150,000 a year. And let's say St. James Mercy Hospital and Stern and Stern contribute 40,000 gallons a day, right? So 20% of $150,000 would be like 30,000 a piece for those facilities. That's just off the top of my head. There's no science behind it. That's not an accurate figure of what we would charge them, but it's a guesstimate.
I mean, this isn't something you're making up too. I believe probably most municipalities operate this way, where they operate on usage and not just willy-nilly. You know, we don't take it out of the taxes. We take it out of the taxes. Most municipalities send bills out. I know, I just thinking of the village of Canasteo, their residents, whatever they pay in water, they pay in sewer treatment. I mean, it just goes that way. And I'm sure if you went to the city of Rochester or Geneva or Ithaca, they'd probably tell you the same thing, that any of their industries are paying for what they're using in the plant. I just can't believe they wouldn't be. It's not something you just sit there at night waking, thinking about that, you know, geez, I need a little bit of money. I guess we could probably come up with an industrial user program and hit these people. It's probably an industry-wide practice. What do you think, Rich?
It's like we're discussing the problem that we presently have with Crowley's. What would they do, Joe, if we said we couldn't handle their waste anymore because it's too toxic? What would they do? Well, of course, we're not going to do that, right?
no, I know.
But what would
But if we set this capacity,
They would do nightly deposits somewhere.
if we set this capacity aside for these people, it means that we're not taking sewage from
Yeah.
other people.
Right.
And it's the cost of treating their waste that we're talking about. It should be in their business formula. This is not hard. It's just like you and I have to pay our bills, and so do they.
No, they have these same challenges in their other plants. They, you know, I just think you hit it on the nose. They probably change of management, certain practices slip through the cracks, and before you know it, it's our problem. You know? And you know, because they're owned by Hood now, aren't they?
HB,
And the
big operation.
the engineering study you're talking about, it's just that's all it is. It's a study that let us know what we can do. I mean, it's just because we did the study, we don't have to, it's not set in stone that we go and follow through the plan, but it gives Richie a little more ammunition,
Yeah.
you know, to see what's coming in his plant and how much is coming in his plant. And
So let's just skip ahead and we apply for the grant, we're awarded the grant. The grant money can be applied to what? Just the study only?
Yes. Yep. And
So the
what they're
study
looking
comes
for,
back and has these recommendations, then what? What do you have to do and what's the cost to that?
to the EFC, you would say, okay, we're going to proceed with our study of the industrial loading to the sewage treatment plant. And they'll say, okay, this is what we require. We want to see in your study A, B, C, D, and E. And so Matt Higgins from LaBelle Associates will say, okay, first, here's the application. And this is what our reporting will include. It'll be headworks loading. And that is something that the DEC fundamentally understands that, you know, is a fairly complicated operation to do, to compile results going forward that are going to be used to treat these industries or build these industries But more than that, understand the industry's loading to your sewage treatment plant and what are the special areas? Like, does the hospital produce from testing for COVID-19? Are they taking and opening ampules and snapping them off and testing the thing, throwing it down the sewer and presenting the sewage treatment plant, a biological facility, with something that it can't treat, that passes through the treatment plant and goes into the river? For example, we all drink coffee every day, and there have been studies published that caffeine isn't treated in one of these systems. Caffeine will pass through a biological treatment facility and go into your receiving water. What's the effect of that, right?
Mhm.
So these are the kinds of things that the DEC and the EPA sit around and look at. And so they would be interested in having this information based on specialty industries like St. James Hospital that has a lab that not only tests the citizens with different chemicals, but they're in a network with the U of R, and they do a lot of testing for the region,
Mhm.
for the hospital in Wellsville and the one in Dansville.
Well, you know, prescription drugs are a real problem.
Prescription drugs, right? Here's a funny example. The company Zotos in Geneva has its own treatment plant because Zotos produces feminine products for makeup and suntan lotion, etc.
Mhm.
And like Hornell, Geneva was required to put in a UV treatment system. And they put it in, and the UV system wasn't working. It wasn't killing off the final stages of the bacteria that were in the system. But why? Because Zotos was putting the byproducts of suntan lotion, UV perfectant, in the wastewater treatment
Unbelievable.
plant, and that counteracted the effects of the UV.
Unbelievable.
It blocked the UV from killing off the bacteria. So that's just kind of the interesting thing
Right.
that is accompanied by every specialty industry. They have special needs, they have special wastes, and we're just a biological treatment facility. Is there something in St. James that's passing through our plant going into the Canisteo River? Well, here's a laundry list of tests that we will perform with this headworks loading that will tell you if there is any of this
Sure.
on the front end of the plant.
Well, we're a medicated society too, not only from direct dumping of prescription drugs in the water, but what you pass from urine, and there's many byproducts of those drugs.
Yep.
That ultimately end up in the water for metabolic.
That's if it gets approved, the grant.
Yes, if we got the thing,
Has
I
to be
mean,
approved.
it's gonna take a special meeting of the council, and I'm sorry, but I didn't learn about this until yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to bring you this proposal without all of the details, but the total, maximum total cost will be $30,000. The city's portion will be $6,000, and we can defray a lot of that cost through the labors of the guys at the sewage treatment plant. That's what happened with the last few grants that we've had for the bar screen. What else was paid for with EFC?
The planning grant there for, well, it was UV and the
Yes.
12-year look ahead.
So this is something that we've used, and instead of spending $30,000, we'll have to spend, some portion of $6,000 to get the same work done.
Well, we can get a meeting together. I mean, it's easier now because we're just zooming the council meetings. So people won't have to actually, set the time aside to drive here and be here. So they can just.
So I'll try to have Matt Higgins forward
Yeah.
sample,
Resolution.
thank you, resolution
Yeah.
for your,
Okay, and Missy,
Referrals.
maybe. Let's see. Calendar here. Next week is the 25th, it's Monday.
Pretty small calendar. I can't read that.
I can't.
I can't remember what it was. Oh,
And I was
don't know,
just
guess.
saying, January looks like a long month,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
And look where we are right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, right. We can shoot for Monday.
25th.
Why don't you email the council
Okay.
and just take a roll call, make sure we can get enough people. And then on the Zoom meeting, I'd like the two of you, obviously, Rich, you're gonna need to walk everyone through it. Probably help to have Matt Higgins.
Very good.
You have Matt's email, Missy?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah, he
So
had
I've
to
heard-
explain it to me.
yeah. So there's a lot of technical stuff involved in this, so.
So on another Matt Higgins note, with the wastewater plant, we're going through with the first phase 1A, which is the UV portion for the $1 million. And there's the 1B portion. And there was an email the other day that some money came through EFC. Was that for total phase 1? I didn't see that. I didn't see the dollar value of that. Do you know that? Do you know if that was?
Which email are you referring to?
Michelle sent it out and said EFC, we're closing for the wastewater treatment plants and, the phase 1 was about $5 million. So there's $1 million for the UV and then there was another $4 million for some pumps and
Digester,
digester repair.
rehab, pumps.
And we were wondering if we were still going forward with that.
Tentatively, yes.
Well, because it takes a little bit of, it's engineering stuff. They got to get going and there's things that need to be go
Yeah.
forward. So they.
Obviously, COVID just threw a freaking monkey wrench, King Kong sized monkey wrench into everything.
Yeah, so I didn't know if that you guys, I know she said she was finalizing the grant on the 21st and I didn't know, there was never a dollar figure what was going on after that. So that was a question we had from Labella's is, are we going on with phase 1B?
We're gonna have
1A
to,
is the 1A was the UV and 1B is the other stuff.
we're gonna have to take a hard look at that. And I'm glad you brought that up because it's kind of fallen off the radar a little bit recently. Obviously, there's a lot of other things going on and happening.
So, yeah, Matt asked me that yesterday. What's the status of part A and part B of phase 1? So we'll be talking to him soon about this.
Okay, let's
Special
tackle this first. Then we'll pick up that discussion.
Very good.
And so let's shoot for Monday at 7, Missy.
Okay.
And the regular time will be a special meeting. And hopefully everyone, enough people will be available and it'll just be basically informational. We'll have the one resolution and that'll be it.
For anybody that doesn't Zoom, I come into the building anyway, so I can set it up here like this, or your conference room again, like we did the other night if we need to.
Always.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, Mitch, what's going on?
Well, I think Rich covered it all. Lenny, excuse Lenny, he's very busy up at the plant right now. They're working on his SCADA, which is the electronic portion of his plant up there, trying to get the new #1 clarifier back online. They've got some plumbing issues. He's been putting a lot of time in up there. So he's probably about that far and with him, he probably needs a Stoli night down at the.
Well, he was out of commission for a little while.
Yeah,
that's
he
right.
was out of commission for a couple of weeks and that really drove him crazy. But things are looking nice up there. The 2 tanks are online and I don't think our water loss is pretty negligible this time of the year. Like I say, it's just busy stuff inside the plant up there, making him crazy. Garage wise, we're picking up Christmas trees. We're doing a little cold patching. Got them doing some cleanup down the back of the yards, down to your place, getting that.
Huge
mess-
improvement.
Yeah, stuff cleaned up down back. Just trying to keep the boys busy.
We're gonna have to start scheduling some interviews.
Waiting for, and that was another thing. I was talking to the mayor. We're losing an employee in March. And then we're gonna lose another employee in April. So that'll put us down at least 5 people
Oh,
at the garage.
So if you remember, commissioners, last year when we lost, well, 3 full-time bodies last year,
Yeah,
because of COVID and the sales tax reduction, we didn't replace any of them. So we've been limping along,
yeah,
we limped along throughout the majority of 2020, very shorthanded. And we've
Yes.
got, 2 more coming up. So, you can only go down so far before the services, you just can't deliver the service that you need to.
right.
Getting real bad.
So we're gonna have to go through, our application. I don't know how many applications do you have? I gave you the one the other day.
Yeah, there's a couple of them out there. They need to, they're quite old.
Yeah.
Over
So,
a year oldish, more than that.
yeah, and it's getting harder and harder to find people that want to do this type of work.
I was talking to the county, they have 3 equipment operator openings, 5 equipment operator openings in the county, just locally, and they only got 3 applicants.
Wow.
So, for nice county jobs, so.
Yeah.
And the DOT is hard pressed for applicants. They're looking for snowplow operators and nobody wants to, or there are other things going on out there with minimum wage. The one person told me, well, I can go to Burger King and make $13 an hour and you're only paying 15.
Well, that's a big one.
It's a big one. It
Well,
really
now,
is. And
I've heard whispers on the federal end of raising the federal minimum wage to 15.
okay.
I don't know how much traction that has, but that would have an impact on
That'll hurt
our
your summer job.
departments. Yeah, well,
Right.
parks, yeah, I had this discussion with the deputy mayor just the other night. That impacts the, what we can do at the pool and the
Yeah.
playgrounds and.
And so on that, so we're working on that. We got a bunch of capital needs again that are, they're just rearing their ugly heads. The public safety building roof, we need to replace that. It's $136,000. It's leaking over there. The upper roof, not over the fire department, but over the police department. That's leaking right now. It needs some attention. John knows the arcade. We've been putting that off just down the road. Richie's got 5 buildings down at his plant that need attention. The roofs are 1982 vintage and they saw their useful life. That was $500,000 down there. The transmission lines coming from the water reservoirs need attention. That's probably $700,000. We couldn't get it into this last bit of grant money we had. They didn't want to.
It wouldn't apply.
It's maintenance, that hasn't been happening in forever.
Wow.
We got heaters on top of this roof that heat the 3rd floor that are over 40 years old that need to be replaced. We got some on the art center that need to be replaced. City garage is in poor shape. I got some trucks that are needing attention now. We kind of cut our repair budget back last year because we're trying to, see where we were going, and that kind of bit me in the butt this year. Seems like our repair costs we're moving up because our fleet is aging.
Wow.
To replace a dump truck's $100,000,
Yeah.
But you don't think about that. You think more and
Sure.
not banging on the fire department or the police department, but those, you see that, but you don't see the public works side of it where, we're putting things together with baling twine and bubble gum right now to try to keep it moving forward, so.
Well, the city clerk's in charge of procurement.
Yeah.
Can you buy bubble
Yeah.
gum in bulk?
She is.
Maybe
Into that.
Maybe you run up to Sam's Club. and-
Cases of duct tape, right? There's just things that are coming up on the radar, and it's just compounding because we keep pushing them backwards.
It might be easier to tell us what doesn't need replacing or repaired.
City Hall roof doesn't need replacing or repaired.
God, I can't believe how much.
Seriously though,
That's a lot.
That's a conversation that we've had, not just with Mitch, but with the Chamberlain Finance Committee, that we do have to, we've gotten the fire department, police department, they're in pretty good shape. We've invested heavily in, the water plant. Rich's plant's had upgrades over the years, but DPW, that garage is a disaster.
It
And,
is,
we've been, about a month or so ago, Mitch and I sat down, we talked about what we can do to, put together a plan to replace the garage. Can we move it? Can we relocate it? Do we need to, tear down and build in the same spot? Different scenarios regarding combining HAT and DPW in the same facility, which would be, which would work the best. So, we're going to have to continue those conversations and, put together at least a plan. So we have, a roadmap at least. And, it's one thing to talk about it and kick things around, but we need to take those steps and, it needs to happen.
Well, it's tough on your point because I mean, it's all there's no grant money out there for any of that stuff. I mean, most of the capital stuff I'm talking about is just repairs to buildings. And,
Yeah.
I'm not even talking streets and sewers.
I
I'm
know.
just talking our building infrastructure
Yeah.
that needs it. And I mean, there's no line item for that. I mean, building repairs to equipment is $10,000. I mean, that's it, and that money goes. I mean, if I replace a heater in the Chamberlain's office, that's $2,700, just for one heater. And then if I do something else, the lights or something down to Richie's, or, it goes so fast.
Yeah. It's tough to maintain all the, the equipment. You got big, expensive pieces
Big
of
stuff,
equipment.
big stuff. Yeah.
It's
I
not,
mean, I have a 2003 loader and a 2013 loader that, they're $200,000 a piece, and probably our 03 loader needs to go, and we need to replace that. And,
and we just got rid of the backhoe last year and brought in a smaller excavator.
yeah, getting rid of a few little things.
Yeah.
And
Wow. It's crazy.
but it's just, the momentum starts picking up money wise, because it just gets put off for so long.
Right.
It gets more and more and more. And, you like to leave the place a little nicer than when you picked it up, if you can.
Sure.
Yeah.
Geez, I might have to come out of retirement, become a common laborer to fill a hole.
One of my guys that retired,
Might
he
make money,
left
yeah.
and retired. He's retired and he's working more hours now for something
Yeah,
private than he
that's
was
what
when he was working.
That's what I'm worried about.
He didn't want to do it anymore. Now he's, 60 years old and he's out working more. I'm like, really? God bless you.
Really.
Yeah, we do need to lay out some of those plans and try to, I think we've ruled out, the one possibility on Shawmut that's not gonna pan out.
No, that looks like it's going forward. It
Yeah.
looks real nice up there, what they're doing.
Yeah,
up
which
there.
is a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing for the community.
I mean, that's another plus for Richie's grant that he's going to get. If they put that new shop up there
Yeah.
and building that new car shells there, what are they gonna do in there? I mean, for water and
Mhm.
sewage coming out of there.
Right.
They're actually,
They're doing metal forming processes. That's something that has a big impact. on
yeah.
Yeah.
the Treatment plant.
Okay, all right, so we've got the plan for Monday. Missy will reach out to the council, make sure we can wrangle up enough of them to have a quorum, and then we'll get the Zoom invites out to each of you and Matt as well.
I'll have Matt forward a sample resolution to Amy.
Yep, or Missy.
To me.
Yeah, to Missy.
Okay.
Okay. I think we covered a lot.
Yeah,
Man, thanks for listening. Thanks
Yeah,
for.
it's all right.
Thanks for.
This is
thanks
the
for staying
highlight
on
of my
top
day.
things and-
At least today, right?
It was a lot to go.
I just look forward to lunch. That's it.
Just that you guys, I know we had the sludging problem, but Richie put in, how many hours you put in, Rich? You were at the plant nonstop down there for a month, with this, and
Yeah,
it's weight heavy. He's even dyeing his hair right now. It's weight heavy on him so much.
Yeah,
Just
guys
got
like,
rid of some of that gray that was
Wow.
down there.
guys like Dana Merring and Shane Kramer and Tyler Cornish and Andy Doran made that project go, and their dedication and work was very much appreciated. And I just want the board to know that we've got some excellent employees
know.
that all through the Christmas season, all through New Year's, they were on that job in 2-degree weather,
Mhm.
Didn't stop.
late hours, weekends doing it, and I'm very proud of all of them.
It's good enough.
And we all, you know, we say we had the press for 30 days, but we really didn't. Because the day started when it left the plant in Ohio, and it didn't stop until it got back to Ohio. So we
Oh.
didn't really press for 30 days either.
Right.
Yeah.
We pressed for 20 days, maybe.
Yeah. 22 days.
Yeah.
Well, that's it,
So
yeah.
they did really step up to the plate. It was really good.
And all the hauling in between.
And the hauling and yeah, all everything that was involved. I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's something that had to happen.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And
An
hopefully,
expense we didn't need, but it was an impressive amount
yes.
of labor that these guys put out.
I mean, if we lose our land application, if we ever had to lose to do that, this is what we have to do. We'd have to
All
build
the
a
time.
building,
We'd have the permanent press.
Yeah.
Permanent-
Wouldn't be
a permanent
wouldn't be a
press, and
rental.
it would happen all the time.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't be for this month.
Then
It
you have
would be-
landfill costs on top of it,
yeah.
Yes.
hauling.
And I was
transportation.
surprised. I thought we could get Casellas for cheaper per ton, and they were double
Double.
from what Steuben County wanted.
$70 a ton.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
didn't ask, but you know, it was crazy. I would have
Yeah,
thought we could have got them into whatever our rate was, and no, they weren't.
That's absurd.
And
I
when you
did give you a
press-
plug in the State of the City address, Rich, for the
Yeah.
work that you and your team
There
have
you
been
go.
doing. For what it's worth.
I'm just sorry that I caused the problem originally.
Well,
It's one thing to brag about your health, but kind of let you guys down with the application process.
kind of unavoidable it was. Happens. Even
Well,
the
we're,
other five-
we're taking the steps to fix it and correct it going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's, yeah, we're being proactive about it, so.
Yes.
Doing the things we need to do. But Mitch, yeah, so, you know, I know we're getting into the budget process and I sent the email out to ask you to start working on your budget worksheets. You know, let's do that, but, you know, also keep in mind some of these larger items.
Well, I didn't want to put them on budget. I mean, they.
No,
need to-
no. I'm
yeah.
just saying, after we get through this process, you know, we need to keep the conversation
Yeah.
going on some of these larger.
Ashley's been working on a sheet for us,
Yeah.
and we'll get there. The other thing we didn't bring up, and I know the press isn't here and everybody's that is the garbage, municipal waste. We were 300 tons more than we were last year. So it just keeps going up, and it's gonna make our garbage bill go up.
Mhm.
And Lippincotts takes everything. I mean, they take chairs and couches and, you know, the contract with them is to only take 5 30-gallon cans per household. But I mean, they'll take stuff that's half the size of this room.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we can get codes on to people about
Well,
putting
I
excess
mean, we
garbage out.
can, but, you know, it's not us putting the couches in their truck. They're doing that.
Well, I know that, but if I tell them not to take any couches or chairs or construction debris, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, it's, you know.
Your phone's gonna ring. And it's gonna ring like crazy.
Or
Yeah,
you'll,
but you know, it's mostly the rentals that are doing
Yes,
that. It's
yeah.
not, you know,
right,
you don't drive down the street and find homeowners putting couches and
I
mattresses.
mean, I used to call codes when I'd see a big pile out in front of someone's house, and what they would do is say, well, whatever Lippincotts doesn't take, I'll have the landlord get rid of the rest of it. Well, that shouldn't be
No, it
the,
shouldn't be.
right.
it's, get that out of there, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Or you'll find it on the side of the
Or you'll
road
find
up
it,
in the.
yes.
But
Yes.
while when Lippincotts routinely takes those things,
Yes, they do.
they encourage it because the message is, well,
It's true.
they're taking whatever we put out,
Yeah.
so put everything out.
I mean, I can tell them to stop, I mean, it's
They,
couches.
they
and-
need to throttle. I'm not saying, you know, go from 100 miles an hour down to 0,
Yeah.
but they need to start throttling back a little
But
bit.
that's gonna cost us, you know, as I told you, it was, you know, that 300 tons equates into $11,000.
It does, but
Right. And I think every year it's
Mhm.
creeping up. So unless we want to raise the garbage bills again.
you know, we just raised them.
Yeah.
So we'd like to have a little buffer time in there.
Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to raise the garbage bills. I think it's, you know, we got a pretty decent deal going here.
Sure, we got a great,
I'll tell you what, most of the stuff I put out doesn't even reach Lippincotts. The neighbors and other people, they come around. I'm not kidding. They come around, it's gone.
Yeah.
I can't believe what they'll take.
There are those people that garbage night people that drive around looking
It's
for stuff.
amazing.
You better watch yourself, Molly. I'll put you out to the curb one of these days.
She has threatened that, yes.
Ooh.
They
So
take
yeah,
it.
I'll speak to Jay and tell him not to be taking couches and stuff.
Yeah, some of these big items,
That's crazy.
they should be taking, whoever it is, they should take it themselves.
Take it to landfill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's $15 to take couch down there.
It's no different than, our brush pickup, when someone chops down an entire tree and leaves it on the curb.
Yeah.
We're not picking that up.
I-
And
I've
they
actually-
try.
I've actually had some people tell me that people bring trash from outside.
Oh, I bet that's.
They bring it in and drop it
Well,
off
we
at other people's houses.
Hanks
can see
Avenue
that.
a year or so ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's still doing that, I believe.
That's crazy.
owns property in Hornell, lives outside the city and doesn't want to, pay the
Dollar.
whatever it is they pay.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, people, they do it.
Couple people do that.
So, all right,
So this is the longest public works meeting ever, record.
here you go. We're setting records, Rich.
7 minutes is
Not in a good
seven,
way.
7 minutes is the quickest
I
one.
will say, since I've been doing this is one of the longest ones.
7 minutes is the quickest one.
7,
Is,
yeah.
is Commissioner Ziegenfuss still awake over there? Oh,
Yeah, I'm hanging in there.
All right. All right, well, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to.
Motion.
All
Second.
right, we got motion by Joe, second by Jared. All in favor?
Aye.
All ayes. We are adjourned.
Take
Hey,
care.
Missy,
everybody.
what you could do is take the video